Yo, what's good YouTube? It's your boy, Sage D Samurai, and I've now returned for another video. Now, if you guys don't know, in my community page, if you guys have seen it, I've sort of like just started this pretty much like this new type of thing I'm doing where I'm setting a goal for this channel. So if you guys don't know, for this channel, I'm setting a goal, which is we are going to try to get 7K subs on this channel. As for my other channel, which is Great Sage, I'm gonna work really hard to make sure it gets up to 4K subs. And if I'm not able to reach it by the end of the month, well, that goal will move on to the next month. Either way, those two are my only goals for right now. So one, you guys can start expecting me like to post harder due to the fact that I've sort of been going through like, a mental change and everything to how like I want to see things, and I decided like, you know what, why don't I go ahead and try doing this way. So this is more of a way to motivate me, and hopefully I have you guys' support, and also I'm just letting you know I'm very thankful to the guys who are already supporting me and everything, because you guys are amazing. But besides all that, guys, I wasted your time long enough. Let's go ahead and get into the juiciness, which is the video, of course. So let's begin.
You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different? Man, you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles, you gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow, you can't be a pro. Don't waste your time no more. Who the fuck are you to tell me what to do?
Alright guys, let's go ahead and get started with this what if. Hold up, let me just change things here. Okay. Yeah, I'm just making the thing go small so that way I can go ahead and, get more work done, okay? So then, let's begin. So we now start off this what if where we last left off, which was pretty much the training period, for the Chunin exam finals. At this, you'll see Naruto now currently hard at work with his training, as Guy had sort of given Naruto a new set of weights, which were much hairier than Lee's, considering the fact that Lee is currently still in resting, due to the fact that, yeah, he used the 6th gate, which is very taxing on his body. So yeah. Now while this is happening, however, Naruto would of course be called into the mindscape by none other than Kurama. At this, Naruto was wondering why the fox would call upon him, but he decided to go along with it, as Kurama was just sitting there with a very lazy but yet laid back expression on his face, which was quite odd for the fox, considering the fact most of the time he would at least have an angry glint in his eyes, or just a straight up just snarl. At this, Naruto looks at him confused as the fox begins to explain that Naruto, during the exam, if you guys don't know in the last part, when he went ahead and merged not only the the 3rd gate, but with also his his own power, Naruto had sort of became very powerful at such a small amount of time. However, due to the fact that Naruto is still currently at a young age and his body is still developing to keep up with this power of his, it sort of causes a couple of drawbacks. Now, yes, don't get me wrong, Naruto is still very OP, however, I don't want him to start just soloing the verse instantly. Although, I'm pretty sure a bunch of people would want to see that. Kurama, during his observation of looking at Naruto in this form, he had realized that Naruto's body, if it wasn't for him, it could literally like clock out on itself. Due to this, he realized that in order for Naruto's body to get more and more mature faster, he's gonna have to do a little bit of tinkling. And even though he doesn't like to admit it, Naruto had gained a couple amount of his respect after that. So to go ahead and compensate for that, Kurama began to actually I would say he actually began to manipulate his chakra through Naruto. And due to this, it's sort of causing Naruto's body to develop way more. So pretty much Naruto's body will be more durable, much stronger, and will be able to hold in a little bit more of that power in. And due to this, Naruto's growth rate will now begin to increase even further. Now at this, Naruto was at first wondering what Kurama was even thinking about. However, this was something he began to feel Kurama's chakra like going through his entire chakra system. At this, Naruto would actually begin to feel a bunch of pressure going on to him. However, this one suddenly, as soon as that pressure came, it was gone. At this, Naruto falls onto the ground panting and breathing, as Kurama begins to explain pretty much everything I just explained to you guys about the whole procedure. At this, Naruto was surprised as Kurama begins to explain that as long as he's here, the more times that Naruto ages up and the more times that his chakra network, refines, the more times the process of growth will continue to increase. So pretty much, as time continues on for Naruto, the more his body will continue to go stronger to the point where he's gonna be able to, harness the power even further than he can in his, like, the regular human pace. Even through Naruto's intense training, the power is still too much for him to handle, but now is gonna go ahead and speed up the process for him to handle it. Not to the point where he's gonna be able to handle it like it's immediately, but not to the point where eventually in the future he will. So at this, Naruto was of course confused by this and asked Kurama about, like, why would he do this? To which Kurama's response was to literally just kick Naruto out the mindscape, and also stating that he didn't want a cheeky brat like him to rely on him ever again. So pretty much he didn't want Naruto to go ahead and start asking for his regeneration, to which even Kurama knew that was a lie. So moving back to now the present, Naruto would continue on with his exercises, which was a bunch of push-ups, the ones that, Lee and Guy would do, except this time they were multiplied, considering the fact that Naruto's body was getting stronger tremendously. However, as Naruto continues on training, that was not the only thing that happened, as we're now going to go pretty much, I'm just going to give you guys a sort of small summary about everything that happened in the very first month, as already a month has passed. Now Naruto, as soon as the Hiruzen had given the two months time period of training, he had actually went up into the forest to actually train himself. So far he had been training not only both his body but also his mind, as he continues to get stronger and stronger. Also with some assistance from Kurama giving that ability to him, his body has been able to adapt to very intense situations. For example, Naruto is able to endure a lot of hits, more so than he did in canon, as he had actually summoned a bunch of key clones and had fought them, which was really a whole bunch of key clones, which I would say like a 500 of them versus him alone. So yeah, there was that, but also Naruto had also gained the ability to gain immunity to poisons, as well as any other sort of effects like paralysis. Like, he's not completely like immune to them, like, oh, I'm unaffected by them, but he's gotten to the point where they won't literally do as much as they do for a regular person. So yeah, pretty much Naruto had built up resistance on nearly everything, but not all of it, as he's able to resist not only heat, but he's also able to resist the cold as well, as he put his body through very intense training to even get there. But in the end, even though all that's like all well and good, sadly that was not good for certain people like Jiraiya the Sannin, who currently was looking for Naruto throughout the entire 1 month and was not able to find him. Even Hiruzen had actually tried looking for him through his crystal ball, but it's almost as if Naruto's presence was like, it was just off the map. He even thought that Naruto may have left the village, but he sort of shut the idea off after Naruto just told him that he's going to be training in the woods, to which Naruto had just left Hiruzen a little note. So that was pretty much Naruto during the first month of his training. However, we will now go and turn to the present, as we now see Naruto currently inside a ginormous crater, as we see a bunch of trees destroyed, as well as him panting and sweating, as there was literally like a bunch of it looked like an entire minefield just went off in here. As Naruto would collapse on the ground, he would just be looking up the sky with a very proud yet at the same time disappointed face, due to the fact that Naruto was proud that he had discovered a brand new technique, which came from memories that it didn't seem like they were his. But sadly, he didn't really care about that, as currently right now, just as he was finally about to go ahead and turn in for a while, like take a nap, this when suddenly he would then feel the presence of another. I finally found you! At this, suddenly Naruto would look up only to see a ginormous fist about to slam to his face. However, it was at that one instance Naruto, in a very swift motion that even he had no idea he could do, would instantly just dodge it like it was nothing. What the heck was that? Naruto wondered, as the man who was about to hit Naruto would then fall into the ground and roll over, as he then gets up acting as if nothing happens. This was Jiraiya the Toad Sannin, of course, who was here to of course train Naruto just like he did in canon, to which Naruto at this point in time had no idea about Jiraiya. At this, Naruto would of course question Jiraiya, like asking who he was, to which Jiraiya would of course do the same thing like he does in canon, his intro, as well as he explained that he'd been ordered by the Hokage to train Naruto. Now that would actually cause Naruto to be suspicious of Jiraiya due to the fact that one, that would be a blatant show of favoritism. Since Naruto in this timeline isn't exactly dumb, he has common knowledge of the Sannin. Now, though he doesn't know like almost every single thing about them, he does know about at least their names. So this would already cause Naruto to be a little bit, not really trusting of Jiraiya due to the fact that one, why would the Toad Sannin try to train him, and two, Isn't this a blatant show of favoritism from the third Hokage, if he's demanding a Sannin to train a Genin? But after a while of thinking this through, Naruto decides to go along with it. As I'm not going to go through the whole introduction, bottom line is that Naruto and Jiraiya, they finally agreed to the terms of training. However, Naruto does explain that there will be moments where he will not be able to train with Jiraiya due to the fact that he still has other people to train with. Also due to the fact that he wants to train himself. At this, Jiraiya was cool with that, considering the fact he wanted to do some more research. So with that being said, a sort of schedule was formed with them, and so eventually, like during times in the day, Naruto would sometimes train with Jiraiya. Also, a moment he would gain some advice from Guy. Naruto would train himself in private. So at the end of the day, Naruto had pretty much 3 separate trainings to do. So yeah, Naruto was definitely planning on winning this. Now, I'm going to do a time skip all the way to the finals, alright? All the way straight to the tuning exam. Everyone was lined up in the arena, and unlike in canon, Naruto had arrived there early. And also, Naruto did pick up some of the same things like in canon, that being the, the ability to summon Gamabunta. That scenario plays out similarly, but has the same results, with Naruto gaining Gamabunta as well as the Toe contract. I would say the difference is that Jiraiya actually helped Naruto, as he also taught Naruto the Toad Kata style of taijutsu, to which Naruto had to admit, even though it was useful, it seemed like it was missing something, which Naruto would find out eventually later on with the Sage mode and everything. So yeah, but that's enough about that, as I just wanted to let you guys know about that small little information. Now it's time for the juicy stuff. As finally the event, everyone will begin to clear out as the names appear on the screen, which was Neji Hyuga versus Naruto Uzumaki. Neji would begin to explain about fate and how he was destined to win today, but Naruto was determined to prove him wrong. Due to this, both of them will get into their stance and positions just as the ref begins to walk up. At this, he looks at both of them with a calm expression as he will then yell, "Begin." At first, no one made any sudden movements, as Naruto and Neji were both analyzing each other before Naruto had decided to jump into action. He decided to blitz up against Neji as he dashes off at amazing speeds, catching Neji a little bit off guard due to the fact that Naruto is actually surprisingly he's exactly, if not even a little bit faster than Lee. This would surprise Neji and catch him off guard, as Naruto would of course appear literally almost in an instant in front of him. He will reel back his fist and about to punch Neji. However, just before that attack landed, Neji was able to dodge it. Seeing an opportunity, he decided to try to hit Naruto in one of the points, of course. However, Naruto would luckily be able to jump away just in time. At this, up in the stands, everyone was gasping at the shock of Naruto's speed, due to the fact that, there were still some rumors going around about him being a demon, as well as him being the dead last. Due to the fact, there's of course everyone has their biases. As Naruto was currently now smirking, he had saw it just like that Neji was shocked and of course surprised by his speed. However, if Neji really thought this was all he had, he had another thing coming. At this, Naruto begins to fight Neji, as it was now a battle of taijutsu, to which Neji had no problems going up against Naruto. Sadly, that would be a big mistake. At this, Naruto would go and actually begin to do something that surprises not only Neji, but everyone else in the stands. At first, Naruto would jump into his typical taijutsu style, which is, if you guys don't know, Gogeta's fighting style. Which, of course, Neji, he had actually was surprised at this, but both of them were pretty much equal in that regard. This would surprise Neji due to the fact that the Hyuga's, taijutsu, it's never really been matched like this. As for Naruto, he was actually surprised that Neji was keeping up with it. But Naruto decided to shock Neji, as just as Naruto was about to land a punch to which Neji was preparing to easily dodge out of the way of, he would switch taijutsu stance right in the middle of it. This would surprise Neji, as he would then be caught off guard and begins to get a bunch of blows due to that. As Naruto during those months had learned three taijutsu styles. He had learned the strong fist from Guy, the Toad Kata from Jiraiya, as well as his own, and I guess some people think his own original taijutsu style. Due to this, Naruto would switch in with all 3 of them, catching Neji off guard, as no one really has ever done this. Due to Naruto being very unpredictable, Neji had no choice but to actually try to defend himself, which wasn't going well due to the fact that due to Naruto switching through all the different taijutsu styles, it was making it hard for Neji to keep up with him. At this, Neji, after getting a couple of blows to the face and as well as all over his body and getting sent flying, he finally had enough as he ended up shouting that Naruto was doing nothing more but being childish and disgracing all shinobi by doing that. At this, Naruto then laughs as he then says, "Please, this is not disrespect. This is respect. I'm showing the power of what could happen if we all join forces and combine something together. These are the power and things that I gained from my two senseis, and I'm willing to show it to you. But if you want to see something disrespectful, I'm willing to show you." At this, Neji wondered what he meant until Naruto literally flash step right next to Neji, put a hand on his shoulder, and freaking yeeted him across the arena. Everyone was in shock as Naruto did it with one hand and one hand in his pocket and the other one just throwing Neji around. This would be just disrespectful as Neji got sent flying and crashing into the arena wall. At this, he goes ahead and looks up in complete shock that Naruto even had the nerve to do that. Well, Naruto was saying, "What? You want me to show you disrespect, right? That's being disrespectful." At this will piss off the Hyuga prodigy as he rushes at Naruto, as he actually ends up getting it close enough to where he's about to do the rotation. Spinning around, Naruto was actually surprised by the attack as he had to bring his hands up, as the rotation would of course connect with Naruto, pushing him back a couple of feet. Everyone will be surprised by it as Neji begins to laugh, saying that that's the ultimate technique of the Hyuga and how great it is. However, Naruto, he was just looking at it like, I actually wonder which one is stronger. At this, Naruto would shrug off the attack and says, "Yeah, I have to admit, I actually burned a little bit." At this, Naruto goes ahead and laughs as he then says, "So Neji, that technique is known as an impenetrable shield, right? Of the Hyuga?" At this, Neji will go ahead and get angry as he then says, "It's called the ultimate defense." But yes, pretty much. At this, Naruto looks at him and nods and he then says, "I wonder, which one is much more powerful? The ultimate defense that can sort of protect you from anything, or my attack, which is like a spear that can destroy and pierce through anything it needs?" At this, Neji was wondering about this technique as well as everyone, as this is when Naruto would then go into a deep stance of concentration. At this, aura began to build up in Naruto as he puts his hand close to each other, as suddenly a small blue sphere began to form as it begins to increase in size. At this, Naruto began to yell out the names Ka-Me. Pressure began to build up as the ground around Naruto actually began to levitate as the ground underneath him began to crack. Neji actually begins to hesitate as everyone can feel a drawing force towards it, as Naruto will continue to chant Ha-Me. At this, everyone was now looking at this as the ginormous sphere began to appear in Naruto's hand. At this, everyone was in shock as they wondered, was this the Rasengan? To which everyone had known about, only those thoughts were known from people who at least knew about the fourth Hokage's ultimate jutsu. But sadly, others did not. As at this point, everyone was at the tip of their seats watching this, including not only Hiruzen, but also Orochimaru in disguise. This is when Naruto will finally release the final Ha, as he finally let go of the attack and shoots it out from the palm of his hand. Everyone was in shock as a ginormous blue beam gets shot out of Naruto's hand and approaches Neji at such rapid speed. Everyone's eyes were wide, including Gaara, who couldn't believe the power. Shikaku was doing nothing more but gaping at it. Neji finally snapped out of his shock as he sees the attack rushing towards him rapidly as it smashes through the ground and everything else around it. "I gotta spin fast." At this, Neji begins to rotate instantly as he tries to counter it with the rotation, which results in a clash between the Kamehameha wave as well as the rotation as everyone looks on. It was a battle between the two forces, Naruto screaming at the top of his lungs, pushing the attack forward, while Neji continued rotating. However, there was one difference between both attacks. The ultimate defense had a limited amount of time, especially for the user who can only spin around. At this, Neji as well as everyone couldn't believe, as finally this is when suddenly the attack of the Kamehameha wave will silently pierce the ultimate defense. The dome of chakra would then be pierced through as Neji will be flying through the walls as he will be slammed by the attack, and finally a ginormous explosion will be heard throughout the entire arena. Smoke flying everywhere, everyone just gaping in shock, as never in a million years have they ever seen the ultimate defense of the Hyuga clan be beaten by this technique by the so-called demon. This is when everyone will see Naruto begin to walk out the fog, approaching Neji. As this is when suddenly a random bystander would then shout saying, "Quick, someone stop the demon, he's gonna kill that boy!" However, no one said anything as they watched in suspense. At this, everyone was in fear, including Hiruzen, as he didn't know what Naruto was gonna do. "Naruto, be careful." At this, everyone was watching as Naruto would then walk over to Neji, who by this point had regained a little bit of his consciousness, as he then says, "Just finish me off already." At this, Naruto would look at Neji with a very serious expression, until he bursts out in a laughing expression, shocking everyone. As he laughs, he would go ahead and chuckle it off as he then apologized. Sorry, but finish you off? Please. Sure, we may both be shinobi, but that does not make any excuse for us to be monsters. Also, it doesn't give anyone an excuse to be a selfish prick, he would poke at Neji with a stick that came out of nowhere. At this, Neji will look at Naruto in shock, as Naruto would look at him. "I hope this taught you something. Destiny is a load of crap, and until death, we will decide about what path we go." At this, after that bold and powerful declaration, Naruto will help Neji up to his feet as the medical team will come, as he will go ahead and place Neji there, and tell them that, to take care of him. With that being said, Naruto will look up to the stands that everyone was still gaping at, as he tells them that he hopes they enjoy the show, to which everyone will say nothing, until everyone will then burst out screaming and cheering for Naruto, surprising him a little bit. As Naruto would look down and smile, Hiruzen, who was up in the stand, as well as a couple other people, would smile. It seems like the village was finally beginning to open their eyes, to finally seeing not the demon, but Naruto Uzumaki. And just to let you know, that whole, if I was cringy, I apologize, but dude, even if I wasn't cringy, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that, the Kamehameha wave freaking speech that Goku does. And also, if this what if was actually real, I bet that Kamehameha wave charging up, that would have probably taken like 5 episodes. So yeah. But besides that, let's continue on. Time skip. So after the battle, after the most epic battle between Neji versus Naruto, as well as a couple others decide to rest, as other matches will continue on. Not much really changes from the canon I'll be seeing, considering the fact that Sasuke will still be late. Shino versus Kankuro would still happen the same way. Temari versus Shikamaru, the same thing will happen, as finally the match between Gaara versus Sasuke will play out. And I'll say this, Sasuke lands a couple more hits due to the fact that Sasuke in this timeline sees more of a strike to push himself forward, due to the fact that he still has that sort of rivalry with Naruto, or at least in his mind, as he pushes himself to try to be better than him. As Sasuke was continuing on with the match, eventually Gaara began to lose up control, and finally, then you will look up to the skies to see feathers falling down, and yep, it was the beginning of the Konoha Crush and the end of the Chunin exam arc. So now we're moving on to the Konoha Crush arc. The arc plays off just like it does in canon, with pretty much everything, like everyone falling asleep, except for a couple of others. Naruto having Kurama to back him up, as well due to the fact of his training, will be able to resist the Genjutsu as he looks up into the sky. At this, he would already see a bunch of shinobi now rushing their way, as he sees that they're now under attack. Blitzing into action, Naruto would instantly get out of his seat just as an enemy shinobi appeared to attack him, as he would kick him out of the way. This is when both Guy and Kakashi would then blitz into action as well as they appeared, as this is when, of course, Gaara would of course flee the scene just like in canon. Up with the Kazekages and the Hokage, Orochimaru versus Hiruzen will kick off just like they do in canon, as I have to admit, even now, that's gotta be like top 10 fights of Naruto for me. I'm just sorry, but like the animation and everything, it just seems so clean, bro. But that's just me, okay? But now it's time for us to continue on. At this, just like in canon, the proctor who for some weird reason, bro, this random ass proctor really was like, "Yo, Sasuke, you obviously Chunin level, so why didn't you go get that guy?" Like, bro, does this man not knew that he was facing off against an unstable Jinchuriki? Does that really look like something a Chunin can take on? I'm telling you right now, that random, I'm gonna call him background character 108, he deserves to be fired, just letting you guys know. So yeah, background character 108. So the canon will kick off as we continue on, with Kakashi end up ordering Naruto, Sakura, as well as Shikamaru, who of course is the same thing in canon, pretending to sleep, as he orders them to go and get Sasuke. However, right before they go though, he ends up secretly giving Naruto a mission. At this, although he didn't see Naruto's fight, he had heard about Naruto's new strength and power. Also, due to the fact that he also had heard about Naruto's encounter with Orochimaru. Due to this, Kakashi would end up finally giving Naruto a mission. That being that he wants Naruto to hold off Gaara until other shinobi arrive to assist him. As he ends up telling him that once he's done here, he will go ahead and try to help them. Due to this, Naruto would be in shock that Kakashi would entrust him in a mission like this, considering the fact that Kurama, due to the fact that he did give it some advice to Naruto during the training, Kurama actually told Naruto about Shikaku. So due to the fact that Naruto knew for sure he knew about it as well, trusted it to him, must mean that Kakashi must really trust Naruto. And not wanting to display trust, Naruto would nod with a serious expression as he dashes off with the rest of his comrades to face off and find Sasuke and also face off against Gaara. Now back with the canon, of course, pretty much things will play out the same all the way until they finally end up catching up to Sasuke. Shino still faces off against Kankuro, and of course Shikamaru still has that badass moment where he's like, I'm gonna sacrifice myself because I'm a team player. Yeah. At this point, Naruto and Sakura have both caught up, as Sasuke was literally right then and there about to be attacked by Gaara until Naruto would then appear out of nowhere, slamming a powerful punch to Gaara's face and sending him flying. This will surprise Gaara as he then looks up to see Naruto. And as soon as he does, a more amount of bloodlust begins to leak out of him. He then says, "Uzumaki, mother craves your blood," he would shout, to which Naruto would look at him weirded out. However, he would then smile and says, "I don't know about your mother or anything, but if you want to fight, I'm down for that." At this, Sakura would look at Naruto in shock, while Sasuke, he gets up saying that this was his fight, only for Naruto to gut punch him, knocking him out. At this, Naruto would then say, "Sorry Sasuke, but this is my fight, and currently right now this man is way above your level." Naruto would then toss Sasuke to Sakura, ordering her to go, to which after some reluctancy, she would go, of course take off with Sasuke, leaving Naruto to face off against Gaara. Tamari, who was there, tried to get in the way, but Gaara really just freaking threw her across like, "Get out of here. You're useless to me. I want to run the ones with him. I want to run the ones." So with that, it was now Gaara versus Naruto. No one did anything. No movements at all. However, unlike in the Neji fight, Gaara would actually rush over to Naruto instead of Naruto rushing over to his opponents, of course. As Gaara rushes over to Naruto, he would throw his claw made out of sand towards Naruto, to which Naruto would dodge out of the way easily. At this, Naruto would then kick Gaara across as he begins to speak in sort of an elderly tone. This was more of the mature side of Naruto. Being clouded with such anger, such pitiful attacks like that can't even hit me. Feeling more anger and frustration, Gaara will continue rushing at Naruto with an angry frenzy, with Naruto dodging and avoiding all his attacks. Due to this, the fight began to look very one-sided, with Naruto treating Gaara like a child, while Gaara is like attacking him like an animal. Tamari was in shock at this, considering the fact that Gaara was not this easily overpowered. As Naruto continued doing this though, it was not exactly doing it without any sort of problem, considering the fact that Naruto is strong, but also Gaara has some power of the tail beast, so of course that's going to be a little bit difficult. However, Naruto did train his body, so pretty much his body as well as his instincts are playing at the same level. As Naruto was dodging, avoiding Gaara's attack, as well as landing hits, Naruto realized that sand was sort of getting in the way. Although he can land powerful hits, that sand was sort of not completely like just, making the hits ineffective, but it was making where the power of his hits were getting weakened as they burst through the sand. So to get rid of that, Naruto decided to jump away, as Gaara begins to say as he was afraid of him, to which Naruto would just scoff at. Not even close. As Naruto would then shoot a couple of ki blasts towards Gaara, 5 of them actually, as he shoots them out in rapid fire. Due to that, Gaara will be sent flying through a couple of trees, getting badly injured as he gets angry and shouts at Naruto. However, Naruto was remaining calm. However, on the inside, he was sweating a little bit due to the fact that, this was his first fight against the Tail Beast, and also he was sort of terrified about how much further they will go. Plus, due to the fact that Naruto, he's still, like I said, the same Naruto. He has care for human life and everything. So due to that, and also due to the fact that Temari is here, he doesn't exactly want her to get hurt in this situation. As Gaara continues on with his rapid attack, Naruto would eventually kick Gaara all the way up into the air, enough to where Gaara ends up having that sort of little flashback where we see everything of Gaara's childhood, and eventually gets slammed down into the ground. At this, Naruto begins speaking, saying that this was not worth it, and they could actually change this. However, sadly, Gaara didn't care about words, as he ends up shouting, "You'll pay for it!" As finally due to this is when finally Gaara would then finally release the Shikaku. As the Shikaku was towering over everyone, Naruto actually had to jump in the way and protect Temari, as he ends up catching her and making sure they escaped that miniature explosion. With that, Naruto ends up putting her down, as now it was only him versus the Shikaku. As Naruto was feeling it, this is when Kurama would then speak up, as he then says, "I'll help you in this one, brat." At this, Naruto was surprised that Kurama was even offering his help, as this is when Kurama would then speak. "Please, don't get it twisted, acting as if I want to help you. But I want to put that ginormous raccoon down. I want to show it just how weak and pathetic it really is." So, with that thing, Naruto's like, okay. So with that, Naruto begins to close his eyes as he feels the Nine-Tails chakra pulling in. However, unlike before, we were just used to go through his body and make it even more stronger. This time it was just giving him actual chakra power and everything. With that, Naruto's eyes would open to reveal them to be red. However, Naruto was going to go a little step further. Charging up, Naruto began to power up even further as his eyes, as well as his hair, began to sort of glow a little bit. As this is when Naruto's hair would then spike upward. This was none other than just Super Saiyan. However, this time it was a little bit different. Some electrical energy was shooting off of Naruto, as well as a powerful aura was surrounding him. It was yellow, as this was none other than Super Saiyan 2. As Naruto continued on pushing, he wasn't, as of course, sensing the power boost that was just shooting off of Naruto, which was right at this point, it was shaking up the forest. As everyone was in shock of Naruto's power right now, even Shikaku was momentarily stunned. However, he would then turn to Naruto and says, "Well, aren't you the brat? And let me guess, you also have that damn fox with you." At this, Naruto does nothing more, as right now his body was currently trying to get used to the feeling of Super Saiyan 2. During the training, Naruto had trained his body vigorously to get the hang of this power. However, even now, it still has its sort of drawbacks, as it takes Naruto at least a couple of seconds before his body is now finally able to move. Like now. With that, Naruto would then smirk up at Shikaku, as this was finally it. It was finally game time, baby. So with that, Naruto with a powerful leap, he would then burst out in amazing speed, jumping all the way up into the air, moving at fast pace. Seeing it, Shikaku shoots off a wind bullet, to which Naruto would of course do nothing more but head towards to. This is when Naruto would then release a powerful shockwave from his fist as he punches through the air, as this will cause the shockwave to actually be just as big as Shikaku's own. This will surprise Shikaku, as his attack was easily countered by Naruto's fist, while Naruto is just amazed by the power that he holds. Compared to Super Saiyan 1, this was nothing. At this, Naruto was currently in shock out of it that he wasn't paying attention, as of course the Sand Raccoon's tail comes after him. This is when Naruto will then hear a voice, "You idiot, concentrate." As this is when, of course, in sort of instinct alone, as well as Kurama's help, Naruto will of course stop the raccoon's tail with only one hand. At this, of course, Shikaku's in shock. I mean, come on, this human boy literally stopped his attack, even with the Nine-Tails' help. This shouldn't be possible right now, especially at his age. However, Naruto did nothing more but chuckle, as this was awesome. However, Shikaku was not done, as he wraps around his tail around Naruto, as Naruto begins to get imbued with sand. As this is when he then yells, "Sand coffin!" However, this is when Naruto would then burst out of it in an instant, right before he even got the chance. As Naruto would look up at Shikaku, he realized that he doesn't really have much time to continue on playing around with this, as even though his body's developing fast, Naruto, as well with the power of the Nine-Tails flowing through him, he has a certain amount of time frame before this lets up. So due to this, Naruto deciding to get even more of a risk, pushes his body even further by boosting his chakra network and activating the gates by going ahead and pushing them to 2 gates. This will be enough. He's not going for 3, considering at that point Naruto Even he didn't know what's gonna happen at that point, as he never really merged the Nine Tails power plus with the third gate as well as Super Saiyan 2, all that mixed up. Yeah, that results he's not gonna try that for a while until he gets the hang of this. But for now, Naruto was gonna plan to defeat the Shikaku this way. With that, Naruto would then rush over to the Shikaku as he begins to blitz into motion, as he begins to punch the Shikaku all around. As well, not even done with it, he also begins to summon multiple amount of clones with it. So with that, Shikaku is now surrounded by Super Saiyan 2 Naruto's with Kurama's chakra imbued as well as 2 gates open. So yeah, it was nothing more but a pure down beaten before Shikaku even got the chance. And although some of you guys might be saying, but Shikaku is much more stronger than that, this and this and that, let me inform you, number one, Naruto at this point, this is like multiple Narutos in Super Saiyan 2. And also with Kurama's chakra as well as the second gates open, like 2 of the gates open, like that's a lot of energy right there. A lot, even for a kid. And Naruto, he's just amplifying it due to the fact that, yeah, this Naruto was OP. I didn't say I was not gonna make him OP, period. But I did say I did promise I was gonna make him OP, just not instantly. But hey, remember, at least his power has a drawback, right? Yeah. Moving on, Naruto began to beat down on the Shikaku, as due to the fact of his large figure, he's not exactly able to go really fast to avoid them. So due to this, the Shikaku will continue taking more and more hits, as Naruto, he wondered, even though he's hitting him a lot, why doesn't he just stay down? At this is when, of course, Kurama would give some input, stating that in order to, finally knock out Shikaku, he needs to wake up the user. Seeing that Naruto already have a plan, would actually rush over to Gaara. However, Shikaku caught him, as he would then shoot off a ginormous amount of sand coming from his arm, as he shoots Naruto with it, causing him to be sent flying across. And the Shikaku would of course smile at this, as he also begins to shoot out ginormous waves of wind, destroying all the key clones, of course. As he then looks at Naruto, "You're gonna pay for that, brat," as he begins to charge up, not an air palm like he does in canon. This time he starts charging up a tail beast bomb. Seeing the attack but charging up, Kurama begins to yell at Naruto to get out of there, as Naruto of course would easily break out of the sand. However, knowing this, Naruto was about to dodge the attack. However, he realized that if he even thought about it, the attack would hit the village. So due to that, Naruto, having no other choice, decided to go down, as he decides that this time, he was going to try to stop the attack his own way. So with that, Naruto, he begins to charge up, as he lets out a ginormous war cry, shaking up the forest even further, as currently right now he was levitating in the air. As this is when Naruto began to charge up a ball of energy through his palms. This was the Kamehameha wave, but this time, he was in Super Saiyan 2 combined with Kurama's chakra. As suddenly, this is when it would gain a sort of reddish glow in the middle of it. As Naruto was charging up the attack, both of them would begin to charge up their powerful attacks, as people who were literally in the forest watching this, Temari, Kankuro, well, not Kankuro because he was still knocked out, Sasuke, who regained consciousness, as well as Sakura, was watching all of this in shock. As Naruto would continue on charging until finally he was big enough, both of them would release the attack. The Tail Beast Bomb versus the Super Saiyan 2 Kamehameha Wave, combined with Kurama's chakra as well as 2 of the gates. And the clash was magnificent. I'm not gonna lie, if this was animated, a work of art. As the attacks collide, literally a ginormous force will continue pushing them, as a small sphere would just begin to surround the entire area, as it begins to expand in size. As Naruto, everyone, including the Shikaku, got caught up in it. Everyone can do nothing more as both of the attacks collide and eventually explode, causing the entire area to explode as well. At this, nothing was done, nothing was said, until we would eventually see, coming out of the dust, we would see Naruto, who currently at this point was falling down. He was unconscious. However, right then and there, we would also see Gaara, who at this point, he was unconscious too, but he was in worse shape than Naruto. As both of them fall and eventually hit the ground, this is when at first no one even did anything, considering the fact that it was a pretty large explosion, alright? It took out a larger chunk of the forest that they were in. As this is when suddenly Naruto wouldn't open his eyes. However, he realized he couldn't move his hands or his legs. At this, Gaara would also wake up. However, due to the fact that he also had their Shikaku's body to sort of protect him, as well due to the fact that he has his mother's chakra, he was able to at least barely withstand the attack. Barely. At this, Naruto goes ahead and begins to use the chin like he does in canon to crawl over to Gaara, to which Gaara would explain, begin to ask, why would he do this? To which we would get that powerful talk no jutsu from Naruto explaining how friendship, compassion, and this and that. To the point where Gaara actually begins to rethink things, just like in canon. So with that being said, eventually the events in canon will continue on. Sasuke would actually arrive there, this time with Sakura tagging along. Temari and Kankuro would arrive, as of course Kankuro would of course take Gaara. However, right before they go though, Naruto could hear Temari say something, as all he heard her was say thank you. With that, she began to jump off as Naruto looks up there, as he finally closes his eyes, finally getting some rest, as this would be the end of the Konoha crush. Well, almost the end. After that, we're gonna do a time skip. As just like that, most of the other events will continue to play out like they did in canon, with the third Hokage facing death, of course, due to Orochimaru losing both of his hands. The attack of the two attacks that hit each other, that was actually observed by a lot of the village, actually. Not the entire one, but some of the villagers who were at least nearby caught the explosion. They did not see what happened, but they did see a familiar beam of blue shoot out. This caused some of them who actually attend the tuning exams to actually wonder of Konoha's popular Jinchuriki, and possibly maybe one of their most powerful genins had something to do with it. As eventually, due to that, the Konoha crush finally now came to an end, as of course they finally end up having a funeral for Hiruzen. Naruto was passed out due to most of it, due to the fact that his body was exhausted, and honestly, bro, he didn't even know how to deal with that. However, eventually Naruto did pay his respects to Hiruzen, and also he had decided to keep his promise, and he promised to be more of a big brother to Konohamaru. So Naruto decided that he was going to spend more time with him. So with that, yeah, more of a brotherly bond between Konohamaru and Naruto, as this would really be the end of the Konoha Crush arc, as we're now moving on to the next one, that being the Tsunade Retrieval arc. So, with that being said, I want to thank you all for tuning in and watching this video. I know I have a very bad upload schedule. Also, my what ifs, I'm not even the best what ifer. So yeah, but I want to thank those who at least took a chance to sit here and watch this video. I'd like to thank those who actually subscribe to the channel. I'd like to thank those who leave a like button. I'd like to thank all of you for just being you, okay? And I want to thank you, and remember that you guys are awesome, okay? Besides that, guys, I have to end this video. Hope you all do enjoy. And yeah, Seiji Samurai is out.